It's time for Twig. This week in Google, Stacy has the week off because a tree took out her power. She's okay, so's her house. But Matthew Ingram is filling in, along with Jeff Jarvis and Aunt Pruitt. Lots to talk about. It's kind of the moral panic edition. I promise Jeff and I are not going to get in a fight, but there are some interesting issues about the deplatforming of the president. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about CES. Ant has been getting up early, checking out the announcements. He has some interesting things to talk about there. We've got a Google changelog, and then we're going to all sing sea shanties. I kid you not. This Week in Google is next.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 594, recorded Wednesday, January 13th, 2021. Chastity does not come cheap. This Week in Google is brought to you by IT Pro TV. Now you can look forward to a successful new year where you can get a new career in IT with the best IT education around. Visit itpro.tv/twit for an additional 30% off all consumer subscriptions for the lifetime of your active subscription. Use the code TWIT30 at checkout. It's time for Twig, This Week in Google, the show where we cover the latest news, not just from Google, but the Googleverse, the Twitterverse, the Facebookverse, from journalism, everything that's going on in the world around us. Stacy, unfortunately, because she lives in the rural wilderness of Washington State, is not with us today. A tree fell and her power, I guess, is still out. But she's fine. The house is fine. It didn't hit her house. It just, brought down some lines. Jeff Jarvis is here, though. He's the Leonard Tao Professor for Journalistic Innovation at the Craig Newmark. I'm sorry, I didn't sing it.
Craig Newmark
Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. You have backup power, right? You're not.
Yeah, we have we lost it so often. We spent in Sandy. We spent 2.5 weeks in a Marriott.
Oh, that's
pretty
no
much
fun.
would have paid for a generator.
So you have a natural gas generator now, and
yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're here, and you know what? So is Aunt Pruitt, whose power is not consistent, but it's on right now. Host of Hands On Photography.
My power is normally fine.
But it's been out a couple of times in the last month, hasn't it?
Well, yeah, we have had a couple.
Yeah, I keep seeing you on Slack saying, just so you know, my power's out.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It was a simpler time.
You got the power.
Consistent power.
Well, we're glad you're here today. And joining us, filling in for Stacy, our good friend from the north, Matthew Ingram.
Canada.
Reporting for duty.
Chief digital writer at the Columbia Journalism Review. Hello, Matthew. Good to see you.
Hello.
Journalism.
That sure started the show off to a great rousing start. Oh, no, anything with that, please.
Oh no, you don't want me to say
Leo?
Facebook, do you?
Leo, did you trust me? Did I not take you to the Blob Opera?
You did, and I love the Blob Opera. You got another one?
Are you going to trust me for another show opening?
Okay. Yeah. You got to play a few verses of it. Okay.
Down under TikTok, shanty songs.
Oh yeah.
TikTok. Aren't shanty songs?
Shanty TikTok. 115.
There aren't sea shanties like
I guess I really need to get on
exactly
TikTok more.
like sailor. Like, what do you do with a drunken lady? What do you do with...
Right. So go to 115.
Okay.
Parrots, private
sea shanty TikTok.
I might even sing along.
Apparently, what is this? Is this a trend on TikTok now?
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Sea shanty talk.
Get that volume. Have you checked your volume yet?
Oh yeah, I gotta make it come out of the right hole. Hold on, it's coming out of the wrong hole.
What happens when you
go back to the beginning. Go back to the beginning.
Oh,
you're messing it up.
The name of the ship was a belly of tea. The winds blew up her bow, dipped down below, my billy boys blow. Soon may the weatherman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done,
that's actually awesome.
Isn't it?
She
Let
had
it go.
not been 2 weeks from shore when down on her a right whale bore. The captain called all hands and swore he'd take that whale in tow. Soon may the
wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum.
Where do you find
when the tongue is done, we'll take our
all right,
leave
all right,
and
Jeff,
go.
you're ruining it. Where do you find lyrics to this stuff? I mean, how do these people know?
It's the Wellerman song, and I just searched Google. We could all do. We could do a quintet here.
All right, here's another one. Yeah, that's the problem. Is we're on Skype, they're on TikTok. Here, let's.
The whale's tail came up.
Is this the same song?
To the side, harpooned and fought, and when she dived down below, may the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and
He's actually kind of lit.
soon may the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum.
You know what? This is actually what makes TikTok pretty amazing.
Isn't it? Because that's the collaborative part where you
Right.
do one
It's a
thing and
duet.
people
Yeah,
add
that's
on and
fun.
duet it and duet it and duet it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
It's pretty cool.
Wow.
It's pretty
That's
amazing. Yeah, if
fine.
you go down, you also go to I think the original one. Hold on here. So, I'm on the wrong page.
I've got some from CNET. Let's see. Sea shanties are taking from Wellerman to drunken
There you go.
sailor.
Yeah.
Sea shanties are attracting the attention of landlubber TikToks. It went wild. I don't know what happened, said the guy at the center of it all. Is this the original?
That's him.
that
I
put
think
to
so, yeah.
sea. The name of the ship was a belly of tea. The wind
So he
blew
starts
up her
it
bow,
solo.
down below
and
my
then
belly
other
boys
people on
blow.
TikTok pick it up.
One guy comes back.
To bring us sugar and tea and
So one guy comes back, the guy with the really deep voice,
Yeah.
the bass.
He's great.
And then another one does it, and another one does it, and it becomes a chorus.
Yeah.
It's
All-
a pretty
and
great
this is-
collaboration.
Yeah, and that's
Full
that's
rock.
the thing that's cool about TikTok is people can take
Here, look
somebody's
at this
track. Here's one with strings. They've added strings to this.
Strings, yes.
The name of the ship was a belly of tea. The winds blew up her bow, up down below my belly boys blow.
I like the
Come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tongue is done, we'll take.
All right, that's pretty awesome. I have to say.
See, the
that's,
best part
it is.
is
It is.
it's
See, now
not
you trust me
copyrighted,
now.
right?
now,
It's in the public domain, so you don't have to worry
yeah,
about
that's probably
remixing
why
it.
sea shanties. Yeah.
Mhm.
Now here's the Club Ready remix.
To sea, the name of the ship was a belly of tea. The winds blew
Where's the drop?
her
Here comes the
bow,
drop.
down below my belly boys blow.
I'm sick of the song already, but still,
It's gonna stay in your head for the next 24 hours.
the
I guarantee.
Wellerman.
If you enjoy that kind of music, I encourage you to listen to Stan Rogers doing Northwest Passage.
Okay.
It's very similar.
And I love it because immediately Hank Green, who apparently has decided TikTok is the hip place to be, not YouTube, is explaining the Wellerman song. Yeah.
Oh, let's hear it.
All right. Here we go.
I love this.
Yeah.
I love that there is sea-shanty TikTok, and I love that I'm on sea-shanty TikTok, and I hope there's more. But I had some questions about this song because I listened to it with my son a bunch this weekend, and I didn't understand all of the references in it. Now, the main one...
Okay, that's fine.
Look,
We could have learned
I
something.
will say
Jeez,
this. I
Leo.
think this. I like that this is not just people lip syncing again. At least this is some
Ooh,
actual
Yeah.
effort.
Yeah.
You know,
They're really
yeah,
solid.
I would watch this because my only impression of TikTok was everybody's doing a lip sync or some sort of a wipe transition into something else they're doing, and it just got tired.
Well, that's how it
and old.
started. That's what Musical.ly was. It was just lip syncing, but somehow when they bought Musical.ly and I think really the main thing that they did right was they said royalty free. You can, and pop stars agreed. You can use our tracks, and it's not going to undermine our sales. And that really is
Right.
You know, have you watched the Fran Lebowitz, Martin Scorsese documentary on Netflix
No.
yet?
Is it good?
Yes, awesome.
Looks like it'd be pretty funny.
It's called "Pretend It's a City." She's hysterical, but
Yeah,
one of the
looks like
things
it'd be
she
pretty
says, she's just like so grumpy and brilliant. She's the Lewis Black before there was a
Lewis Black,
Yeah,
female version.
yeah. But she says the thing that's great about talent is it's just sprinkled around like sand. It's not you can't earn it or learn it. You're born with it, and it's completely random. And that's I think. When I heard that, I thought, you know what? That's true. whether it's writing, painting, ice skating, playing a bass, throwing a football, but
sea-shanty.
Or sea-shanty. But what I realized is that's really where YouTube, TikTok, really is a huge thing, because it is randomly scattered. And so it's not the people who went to Berklee College of Music or signed a record company deal. In the old days, those are the people we got to hear. Or if you were maybe in the subway, you heard right. That happened. You step in all the time, Jeff. You'd go in the subway,
democratization,
and there'd be
of
some brilliant violinist, and you go, "What? This guy's playing for $1 in the subway."
Yeah.
But now
I played in the subway.
What? Really?
Yeah.
What'd you play? Hockey?
Toronto. Guitar.
Really? You'd go down there and did you make money?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Some days I made, one day I think I made $150 for
that's awesome.
2 hours, I think.
Were you a student?
Oh man. Nice.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
The best part is because it's the subway, you can literally play the same 5 songs over and over because people are just on their way somewhere.
People are moving. You don't need a repertoire.
I'll be here all week.
Just do the times they are changing over and over.
Over and over. Wait, is that what you would do? Kind of folk?
Yeah. Neil Young, Bob Dylan.
Nice.
John Prine.
Do you still do any of that?
I do, yeah.
Oh, I love that. See, I when she said that, I thought it's a shame I didn't get any talent, because I would have loved to. She also said that musicians, there's no other profession where people just love you because everybody associates a particular song with their youth or good moments in their youth or their child. And so musicians unlike almost any other profession, have this, people just love them because it's this memory of their youth and so forth. And it made me sad. Yeah. That, she talked about it. She plays the cello, or played the cello at one point. She said the elementary schools would, you get a free instrument up to a certain point, and then you have to buy your own. And they took her cello back. And she said, I need a cello. Her parents were trying to figure out how they could buy one. And finally she goes downstairs. She says, Mom, Dad, don't buy me a cello. I will never be good at this. It's a complete waste of your money. I don't have that talent.
Unlike what the hardhead told me in that trombone of his.
Did you buy him a trombone?
I did. And he was good. He used it up until we got over here in California. He
stopped playing
elsewhere. Yeah, he was focusing more on other stuff, particularly
girls,
sports and whatnot.
Oh, sports. Okay.
Yeah, definitely sports.
Yeah, nice.
Girls here and there.
A few girls, lots of sports.
But he was really good. I give him credit. It wasn't a total waste of my money because he was really good. He was first chair pretty much as soon as he picked it up.
Are you sad that he didn't keep going?
Yeah, a little bit. Because I like how having an instrument in your hands just keeps you busy, and it's just something about the mental health part of it too,
Did he like it?
Yeah, he loved it. He loved it. Yeah. He was good. And it's funny, every now and then I'll catch him listening to classical music.
Good. So he has an appreciation.
Right. And I can remember just thinking back to when people would laugh at us growing up for listening to classical music. But, he just embraced it. Him and his brother, they both enjoy jazz and classical music, as well as some of the other wild and crazy popular music that's all over the likes of TikTok.
So, if you're not going to be a professional trombonist, learning appreciation for music and that's a lifelong game. Yep. That's a plus. So when we gathered here last week, it seems like a year ago. No, it seems like a year ago. The Congress was being assaulted when we gathered here last week. So even though it does seem like a year ago and a lot of news has happened, we haven't talked about it on this show yet. In the aftermath, Facebook, which had resisted this, banned Trump. Then Twitter, which had resisted it, banned him for 12 hours, then finally banned him completely. So did Pinterest. I didn't know the president had a big Pinterest account. Maybe he does. He was banned on YouTube, and then he's just got banned again, this time permanently. Google first said you can't put Parler on the Google Play Store because there's too much there are too many violent posts there. Apple initially said you got to moderate it, and then finally said, all right, we're pulling it. Then Amazon Web Services says we're not going to host it. Then Parler's lawyers said we're not going to work for you. Parler is suing Amazon. We found out that Parler, this has all happened in just a matter of days. We found out that Parler had very poor security and that a hacker had downloaded pretty much the entire database, including all the metadata of all the photos. FBI's
so that was hilarious.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
FBI's,
apparently they used a trial version, a free trial version of a security product.
Was that easy, folks. But before Parler was banned, it leapt to #1 on the App Store, of course, and had many hundreds of thousands of people sign up. Gab too. It's been kind of crazy. It's been kind of nutty. Airbnb just announced that they're going to cancel reservations for Airbnbs in Washington, D.C. during Inauguration Week. There's some concern that activists will come back. The #1 video on Twitter and Reddit was one insurrectionist who went to the airport and found out all of a sudden he was on the no-fly list and burst into tears. That was very popular. It's crazy.
There's a list going on. First Draft News has a list of all the platforms and what they did and when, and it's everyone you can think of: Shopify, PayPal, Twitch,
Kentucky Fried
eBay,
Chicken,
Reddit.
Yeah, so many people, Disney are pulling their donations to Republican members of Congress who protested the vote, said it was fraudulent. A lot of companies. Yeah. You had an interview on the BBC, Jeff. Why don't you tell us about that? I could play it, but is he gone? Oh,
I'm here in audio, but your video is like
that's all right. Audio is
90
fine.
Seconds delayed.
Yeah. Okay.
Fine.
His BBC appearance. I just have to say it. I love you, Mr. Jarvis, and thank you for that. That was.
Should I play it?
Oh, thank you. I was afraid you were going to say I love you, but.
Yeah, that's what I thought was coming.
That's what I was going.
Here, let me play.
That's typically what I say here in the house to everybody else, but no.
The BBC's not going to take us down if I play it, right, Jeff?
No, not at all. Not at all.
It's on Twitter.
The internet is broad and has many places to go. But let's be clear that free speech doesn't only include the right to speak. It includes the right to choose what you carry. To have compelled speech is not free speech. So the platforms are perfectly within their rights to choose to carry Donald Trump or not.
But isn't the problem when the platforms become so big, they're almost like public utilities, they just happen to be run by a corporation?
Yeah.
The platforms have opened up speech in ways that our old business of mass media never allowed. In this country, we have mass media controlled by old white men who look like me, and now the social media allowed Black Lives Matter to come out and Me Too to come out and all kinds of movements. And yes, it also enables the miscreants of the congressional riot to come out as well, but that's the nature of free speech.
But isn't the problem here that you end up with the people in charge of tech companies who largely are driven by the considerations of profits, making decisions about whose speech is acceptable and whose speech isn't?
Well, they are damned if they do and damned if they don't. Because for the past 4 years, I've heard people screaming to take down Donald Trump, to take down disinformation, to fact check the net. And then when they do, they get accused of being too big. They just can't win.
But the reality is, though, Jeff, that they may have taken President Trump down. They may have currently disabled Parler. But you and I both know if we spent some time on Twitter or on Instagram or on Facebook or any of these platforms, we'd soon enough find people doing much the same thing.
Even if we took down every bit of racist speech we could find and played whack-a-mole with it all, the fundamental problem remains that America is a racist country. So worrying about this moral panic of technology and social media distracts us from the real problem that we have in this nation.
But surely you're not saying, and of course racism did predate these big tech giants, but surely you're saying their products have not affected it at all. Surely you're not arguing that the internet hasn't in some way changed the dynamic of racism within American society.
I am saying on the balance, it has brought a huge improvement. Black Lives Matter and the stories that occurred in the hashtag Living While Black never came out in big old white mass media because it didn't happen to them, because the newsrooms were not diverse, a cause that you care about deeply. Now, finally, social media enabled people who did not have a voice in mass media to have their voice, their press. And so I strongly believe that we've got to leave this open. So in general, I'm in favor of free speech and of leaving them on there, but I'm also in favor of the platforms deciding what norms they should maintain. They have a right to do that as well. I think in the net, that the net has improved our society. The problem right now is that media are in the midst of a moral panic, trying to accuse the internet of being the source of all of our problems, distracting us from our real problems.
But hold on, Jeff. We've seen already accounts of people who ended up outside the Capitol building, some of them going inside it, and we've seen the stories of their radicalization. At the center of their radicalization every single time is these platforms.
I love how
the woman
it ended.
who
That's
was
a good
shot
question, actually.
in the Capitol, her saga, according to the stories about her, started not with social media, it ended up there, but started with Fox News. Let me be very clear that the single most malign influence in all of English-speaking democracy in my country and yours is Rupert Murdoch and Fox News. That's where the journey begins, not in social media, but in media.
Jeff, thank you very much for coming on Outside Source. We appreciate it. And needless to say, Rupert Murdoch would not agree with that categorization of himself or the products which he owns.
Is this well, the BBC's not owned by Rupert, so I guess it's safe to say that.
Not yet.
Ross is great. That's Ross Atkins, who's very, very good.
Yeah.
He started a movement within the BBC they call the 50-50, which is to get more diversity in their sourcing, starting with gender in the UK, but also now we're part of that.
50, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, he's very good. Thanks for playing that
scenario. Listening to that and watching that reminded me of a scenario that I had with a family member back east that wanted to message me with something pretty salacious. This was last year sometime before all of this mess started happening. And they were all freaked out and was just trying to give me the business about it and all. And I said, okay, well, where did you hear about this? And they told me Fox News. And I said, okay, fine, that's Fox News. Do you hear about this on any other platform? And they said, no. I said, so why are you just going to assume that is the gospel? Is Fox News the one and only news source that's out there? Why aren't you thinking critically about this stuff instead of going out and inciting more idiocy and people getting upset over something that doesn't even really exist or even matter? And just the way you hit that right there, it just struck home with me, Mr. Jarvis.
And they're saying, Aunt, you were a good guy till you moved to California and then you got brainwashed.
So, Jeff, one of the response, and I'll include all of you in this, please, not just Jeff, but one of the things I thought was kind of interesting was Angela Merkel of Germany, and then followed by Emmanuel Macron of France, who said, well, we're baffled. Said, well, this should be a government regulation, not private industries. They shouldn't be deciding who to platform and deplatform.
That's just ridiculous, right on its face. Right?
I think it's a fair point, but it's not what they don't have a First Amendment. We do. There's government here is specifically prohibited from making that kind of law.
Well, then I had a journalist from London call me this morning, and she's doing a story about Iran, and now Iranian activists are saying, okay, Twitter, you took down Trump. Khomeini is bad or worse for these reasons. Why don't you take him down? Or why don't you go to the Philippines and Duterte?
Good question.
So they're constantly stuck when they set a precedent. Now we got to enforce it across. Even just enforcing it across world leaders is hard.
And by the way, I should say there's two different interpretations of what these big tech companies have done. Denise Howell, who's a lawyer and very smart on this stuff, said they did it because their lawyers came to them and said, you are exposed. You are in trouble if you let this continue. You've got to stop it. Others have said, well,
in what way?
Because
they're protected by Section 230.
Well,
yeah, there's protected by 230.
Okay, yeah, so. Some have said, well, that just gave them the cover to do what they've been wanting to do.
True.
So I have a theory.
Does Section 230, how far does Section 230 go? If somebody is posting plans, this is a hypothetical.
If it's illegal, it doesn't save you from illegality.
Right.
No.
So
but it does save
a
you
lot
from
of the stuff that
liability.
was on these things could be interpreted, and there's some, there's definitely a range of interpretation of what the president said. Is that illegal? Is it legal? Is he calling for violence, or is he just saying, we got to fight for our ideals? I mean, that was a gray area because he's very careful. He's very smart about not, as most trolls are, about not crossing the boundary into illegality.
If you look at First Amendment law, you have to be very, very specific about the violence you're calling for and who specifically you're calling for violence against. Cases have established that you can't. It's not illegal to just say, I think people like this should be harmed. It has to be tangible, specific, and imminent.
Okay, and Ant, you were saying?
No, I was saying I'm glad you mentioned that he was quite selective on how he put his message out to his.
Yeah, he's not going to say,
followers.
Go on, guys, blow it up.
No, of course not.
It'd be a shame to see something happen to that nice Congress of yours.
Yeah, some have said like a mob boss. He doesn't. This is what Michael Cohen always said. He doesn't have to be explicit. He just we know what he wants.
Exactly.
So this idea that government should set it just surprised the heck out of me from Merkel and Macron.
But they don't have a First Amendment.
No, even so,
Canada
to have official speech, to have compelled speech, to have government-demanded speech, the government should decide that government is in this platform.
The precedent
in Germany, Germany restricts your speech all the time.
Yeah, the precedent for that is you can't post.
This is not restriction. This is the opposite.
You can't sell Nazi memorabilia on eBay. You can't.
Yeah, but this is compelled speech. This is saying you will carry Merkel. You cannot take Merkel down.
Is that what she meant?
What she was to say. Yeah, that's what she's saying. You can't take Trump down.
Well, I think there's something to be. I do think that's not an. I know it's going to make you ballistic, but I think it's not an unreasonable argument that it does give Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg unelected
a lot of power,
unelected capitalists a lot of power. Trump was elected. Duly elected official of the United States government.
No.
I think that's a reasonable question mark. Should private companies be unelected, oligarchs be allowed to do that?
Would you say this to the New York Times? You must carry all of Trump's speeches. You must print them all. That's the equivalent. Of course you wouldn't. Would you say to NBC?
Well, wait a minute. No, stop. Hold on.
There's a must carry on TV.
Those are platforms. Those are publishers. Twitter is not a publisher. That's not the same. It's apples and oranges.
Would you tell Verizon that they must run the president's channel? No, you wouldn't. We wouldn't do that in this country.
But they have to let him make a phone call.
Yes.
Look, I don't know what the answer is, but I think it's not an unreasonable position to say, should these big tech companies be in this position? I don't like that either.
How is it any better? Like, I agree, government control of speech is bad, but how is it any better to have a bunch of, 30-somethings running this gigantic company, controlling what people say? How is that any better?
Well, and Trump? The other side of it is, he's still the president. He could go down at any moment to the briefing room.
Yeah.
It's not like he doesn't still have his bully pulpit.
Right.
It's not like talk radio isn't dominated by conservative voices. Do you find it troubling that one of the biggest broadcasters in America, Cumulus, told its hosts, you may not say this election was stolen? You've got to, and by the way,
they own the shop.
Yeah. I've been told.
If they came and said, you may not call grown women girls.
That'd be right.
Say, that's because they're worried about their business and they want to make sure that it doesn't offend half the audience. And that's within their right to do. It's their company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a theory a friend shared with me about what the platforms are doing. This is kind of a conspiracy theory, and there's no real evidence. But his argument was, what if they wanted to imply an argument about fiddling with Section 230. If they wanted to say fiddling with Section 230 is bad, getting rid of it is bad, they could just say, look, without Section 230, we would have to do what we're doing now all the time. We have to take everybody down if they said anything even remotely bad, because we'd be liable for it.
And why do you think Trump doesn't like 230? Right? Exactly.
But no, I think Matthew, I think Sunday with the Twit panelists.
We did. That's right, Ann. Yep.
That was probably the most succinct and useful discussion about 230, because there's still a lot of people that are confused about far as what exactly it means to them as a regular user of all of these different platforms.
There's Congress people who are confused. Like there's people
Most people are confused.
Supposed to know who are confused.
Yeah.
So today, Sundar Pichai was interviewed on Reuters. Let me see if I can find this real quick. I quoted him. Reuters has had their kind of undavos. Since there is no Davos this year, Reuters held this
Davos, that's right.
4 days online. And Sundar was interviewed at the end of today, and he said it is the most, it is the thing about which most people get it wrong. And Mike Masnick was very happy that Sundar finally started standing up for 230. Here it is. I've never seen anything that is so foundational that is so misunderstood.
Yeah.
Section 230 is what promotes freedom of expression, to which Mike Masnick said, finally. I've been waiting for any of the tech execs to say this, but it's felt like they've been too afraid. Sundar is exactly right. People attacking 230 are attacking the wrong thing. The people on the left, they think attacking 230 means attacking big tech companies. On the right, they think attacking 230 means the censors are going after me. There was also a great moment here.
I have to say, Pichai said the same thing in his testimony to Congress in October.
Mm-hmm.
So it isn't
about 230.
Yeah, he says it's foundational to U.S. leadership in the tech sector.
Good.
So it's not the first time he said that.
It's not just 230, right? The tech platforms are protected by the First Amendment too.
They can't.
Yes,
the government can't regulate them.
Well, and also
230 protects. It's protecting against different groups. 230 protects them against lawsuits. The First Amendment protects them against the government.
It's government, yes. And newspapers that have comments and forums are protected by 230 as well. The Guardian's U.S. operation, at least, of comment is free is protected by 230. The other one was so Marjorie Taylor Greene wore her as my representative.
The QAnon representative.
Malinowski calls them the QAnon caucus.
Yeah.
She's the head of the QAnon caucus. So she wore a mask. She wore a mask today. That's the good news. The bad news is it said censored. As a colleague of mine said, nothing says censored like speaking freely into a microphone on the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives while it's broadcast publicly.
That's the thing that really does crack me up about this, the conservative complaints that they're being deplatformed.
Cancel culture.
There are plenty of venues for conservative speech. As I said, talk radio being first and foremost, Fox News, and then, of course, the follow-ons like OANN and Newsmax. There's plenty of venues for conservative thought.
Yeah. And they end up in media all the time. They get, QAnon, I think, is a tiny, I don't want to say movement, but it gets amplified by media. The conservatives get amplified by media plenty. Yep. And my most popular tweet this week was saying, just by the retweets it got, but was saying that, remember that Donald Trump was not a genius at Twitter. He was a genius at using Twitter to manipulate media. He got his stuff up on media. So media, the GOP has plenty of opportunities for media. They have a whole TV network. They're doing fine with their attention. Just fine.
I do worry, though, and I know you hate it when I bring this up, but I do, and I don't know what the answer is, but I do worry that Facebook in particular is a really great place to radicalize people. I guess YouTube as well. Are you just saying there's just nothing to do about it, and the benefits outweigh? No,
they should. Well, two things. I don't think we have sufficient data on that. I don't think how much we know that. There has been data on YouTube that it isn't as bad as is said, but in any case, we don't get the data from the companies, so it's hard to know. I don't think the research is conclusive. But let's just say I grant what you just said, even though I don't think the data is there, or are there. The data aren't there. Is that yes? I think the platforms long since should have said, these are our standards of behavior here. This is our North Star, as I've said on the show often, and we should take this stuff down. I absolutely agree with that. I think that, which includes taking Trump down, right? They had a right to take Trump down. They have a right to decide that this is their garden party. My argument this week was it's not an editorial decision, it's a social decision. If you come, Leo, drunk and obnoxious to my party, and you start insulting my friends, and I kick you out, that's not an editorial decision. That's a social decision. There's a difference of gradation in how it operates, but there's still decisions and judgments I think they should make. Yes. But when they make them, they get in trouble with the right.
No, and your point with the BBC that they can't win is well taken. I mean,
oh yeah,
it feels like nobody's happy no matter what they do.
That hate speech you took down was my speech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take a little break because CES is going on, and isn't it fascinating?
for a little tease here. If you go to line 103, I know you hate that. That's why I say it. You can see Lance Ulanoff leaving CES. You'll enjoy this.
Okay. But we'll do that after this word from our sponsor. Jeff Jarvis is here. I guess you probably know that by now. So is
shut up. Even in a commercial. He just keeps going on.
So is Ant Pruitt, hands-on photography. Hi, Ant. And from the Great White North, above the 49th parallel, Matthew Ingram, who is, I'm certain, dressed in layers, chief digital writer at CJR.org. Our show today brought to you by IT Pro TV. Love these guys at IT Pro TV. I feel like I feel not just kinship. I almost feel like ownership. I feel like their uncle. It's Tim Broom and Don Pizzette, and they came to see an NAB event I did many years ago about this new form of media, the streaming on the internet and things like that. And they had already been IT trainers in a traditional classroom setting, and they said, wouldn't it be cool to do IT training kind of like Twit does podcasts? And IT Pro TV was born. Of course, they've gone far beyond that, but I'm happy to say they started advertising with us at that point. Now they're there in Gainesville, Florida, with this beautiful studio complex running Monday through Friday, doing incredible content all around IT. Now, as you probably know, IT is a big umbrella that covers a lot of concepts. And it's not just, people who are already in IT polishing their skills or getting new skills. It's also people who want to get into IT, who need, and that actually is how it really started, who needed the certifications to prove you had the knowledge to get that first job, the A+, or the Security Plus, or the Network Plus, or the MCSE. IT Pro TV does all of the above. They do just what you need to get started on the right foot in your IT education journey. You can get professional, entertaining IT training, and you never have to leave the house. Actually, it's on Roku, it's on Fire TV, it's on Apple TV, it's on your browser, it's on your phone. So really, you can consume IT Pro TV anywhere you are at any time. This is a good month to get started. In fact, January is Getting Started in IT month at IT Pro TV. A great time to start a new career in the IT industry, which, by the way, even in these tough times, is a great industry to be in. And it just is nonstop growing, especially during COVID in some ways because of work from home and all that. This month, they've got 2 webinars for budding IT pros. There's a free training weekend with 5 courses available, absolutely no charge. There are tons of videos on their YouTube channel there for free about starting a new IT career. And don't forget Don Pizzette's incredible podcast, Technado, which is free, and it's all about IT industry, and they have industry guests on the IT news and a deeper dive into the IT realm. So there's so much free stuff there at IT Pro TV, and I really want you to take advantage of that. If you have a team, an IT team, Harvard did this. They have plans for business that your IT team will not only, they won't be insulted, they'll love it, they'll actually use it. Or if you're just an individual looking to get into IT or improve your skills in IT, look at their sets. They're so beautiful. I'm just so jealous. They have personal plans to help you accelerate your IT career. Training in Microsoft, Cisco, Apple, Linux, and more. You'll be able to earn the certs to get the job, improve your IT skills, 5,800 hours, 5,800 hours of up-to-date IT training. One of the reasons those studios are running all the time is software gets updated, software changes, new stuff comes out. So they've got to always keep it up to date, but that's the beauty of it. This is the freshest content anywhere. They're the only official video training partner for CompTIA. That really makes them a great place to go for those A+, Network Plus, Security Plus certs. And they have, depending on the tier membership you buy, you can even get a learning coach who will help you discover which facet of IT you like to guide you on your career path. And, of course, job resources, too, to help you get that first job. IT Pro TV's team is incredible. Look forward to a successful new career in the new year with the best IT education around. Go to itpro.tv/twit. The offer code, there's Don Pizzette. The offer code is TWIT30, TWIT30. Boy, this is a great offer, too. You'll get 30% off any consumer subscription as long as you stay active, not just for a month or a year, but as long as you stay active. itpro.tv/twit. Offer code TWIT30 for 30% off the lifetime of your active subscription. We love these guys, and they've done such a good job. And you will love them, too. I talked to so many of our listeners are also IT Pro TV customers, and they all rave about it. It's just fantastic. IT Pro TV. Build or expand your IT career and enjoy the journey. IT Pro. Yeah, look at that. Ant's got his IT, what does it say? IT Pro TV and chill?
That's right.
I love it. I bet that gets all the girls to the yard. Yeah. Sure. itpro.tv/twit. It does look good on you. It does look good. You used to work in IT. Did you get a cert to get that first job, Ant?
I actually thought about getting certs because people were asking for them.
Yeah. It's hard because you can't prove you have the skills.
That was the thing.
You haven't ever had a job.
Like, well, what can you do? What can you do? Do you have this cert? Do you have that cert? And it was really frustrating. And I got ready to go to school and get a particular cert, but I lucked out. I had a friend that said, you know what? I'll let you try it out and learn on the fly. So
he trusted you because he knew you, and that's the if you don't have that connection,
right?
Then the cert is really the only way you can say, look, I have the skills. Once you've got a job and you have a track record, it's a lot easier, of course.
Right.
All right. Have we talked enough about free speech, the platforms, all of that?
Of course not.
Telegram is taking down neo-Nazi channels. That's new, by the way.
This is another big problem. And I'm just giving the other side. You take these guys down and off, they're like bugs. They crawl back under the rocks. But there are plenty.
You can't find them.
You can't find them. There are plenty of places for them to go. Telegram's one, Discord, Matrix, Gab. They're 8chan. You know, when 4chan went away, they went to 8chan. I think there's places beyond 8chan. It's the internet. The nature
16chan.
Yeah, I can't remember, but the nature of the internet is it's whack-a-mole. You can't successfully block all of this.
So that's why it's the wrong way to think. I think is that we've got to spend. We spend all of our time thinking there's somebody bad on the internet. I can't go to bed. When what we need instead is institutions and structures to emphasize and amplify the good.
Yeah.
And the bad is idiots are always going to be there. It's like I always say, Twitter's not the New York Times, it's Times Square. There's always an idiot on there was.
And just like Times Square, I will go to 110th Street and go around to avoid Twitter. I really have had enough. I'm off of it because it makes
you're missing so much.
No, I'm not. I'm missing the Spilkus,
well, I don't see any Spilkus. You're doing it wrong, man.
I totally get where he's coming from because I feel the same way about my Facebook experience from years ago.
Yeah,
I
don't miss Facebook.
Nothing out of it.
Yeah.
And ever since I left, I haven't thought twice about it. Yet I have a friend, a dear friend of mine who just recently retired, who made his business off of Facebook traffic. I mean,
I agree 100%.
So,
I agree 100%.
Whatever works for you, you know.
I'm not saying these. I'm not disagreeing with anybody who says there's value in these platforms. I just don't want to be there.
Ethan Zuckerman wrote something about what you're describing, Leo, about how driving, whether it's the Daily Stormer or whoever off platforms, they will find places to
just try some underground. Yeah,
and they will be harder to find, and they will be harder to see and harder to track. But they'll still be doing all the same things.
So I guess what you're saying, Jeff, is the point is not to make them invisible. The point is to create a safer, better Twitter, a better Facebook.
The first known effort, watch out, here comes a Gutenberg moment, to censor the press came in 1470 from Niccolo Peretti, who was a grammarian, who was appalled by a translation of Pliny's work and wrote a letter. Don't worry, I'm going to get there soon. Wrote a letter to the Pope saying, you must stop this. You must appoint someone to censor the press. You must appoint someone to correct all the forms before they go to press, because we just can't allow this. Right? Well, in a way, he wasn't asking for censorship. He was asking for an editor. And it took a while. It took a long time before we invented the institutions of the editor and the publishing house to find the best and establish quality and establish standards. Right? It took a while, but we invented those institutions to create those standards. We enter a new world where now everybody can speak, and you know how much I celebrate that, because we have Black Lives Matter and Living While Black and Me Too and Occupy Wall Street and movements that wouldn't have been heard before. But we also hear QAnon and idiocy. And right now what's happening is we're concentrating only on the bad stuff, and in doing so, we're amplifying the bad guys and ignoring all the good stuff. My difference with you, Leo, is primarily I spend a lot of time on Twitter. I follow 3,693 people. I honestly see no cesspool-y stuff. I get no sewer gas from my Twitter feed. It is helpful, informative, amusing, friendly. It is a good part of my life.
Well, all I can say is, folks, you're not doing your job. Would you please start messing with
thanks a lot.
Jeff's
thanks
feed?
Thanks a lot.
You're not doing your job.
I'll post some screenshots in Jeff's feed.
Jeff, I want to point out you didn't always feel that way. Remember when there was a guy called Professor Jeff Jarvis?
Yeah, and I hated him, and I blocked him. And yeah, there are bad people there, yes. But what did I do? I ignored him. And he's under a rock somewhere, and I don't give a damn.
My experience started out
you brought him
shaky as well on Twitter, and I didn't quite think it mattered or had any kind of point, but it took a while to do a bit of curation and working on it, and now I love being there.
You guys talk like junkies. You're just like junkies. You're saying, "Yeah, man, you're gonna really miss it when you're gone, man. It's great." Yeah, fine.
So all you're gonna be left with is
that's Mr. Jarvis saying that. You can take Twitter from me. I'm gonna be all right.
I do not miss either Twitter or Facebook. I have a much better.
And I don't miss Newsweek
them.
in Time.
Yeah,
right. See, that's the world we had before. Let Time magazine tell you about the entire world. No, I'm really glad I'm rid of that.
I did want to mention, though, that taking Parler off of AWS is, I think, significantly different than removing someone from Twitter.
Discussion.
So
Matthew talked about that. So was it a line too far? Was it too infrastructural or not?
So I don't know, but I think it raises different questions, because you're going.
This is very
further
similar
down into the stack.
The challenges that Matthew Prince at Cloudflare faced, because he was protecting DDoS protection for the Daily Stormer.
Is that up the stack or down the stack?
And 8chan. And 8chan. I don't know. Is it up or down? I think it's down.
And Matthew was very much saying, well, we got to protect speech, and honestly, it's not for us to deplatform somebody. He did eventually, by the way. Mm-hmm. It's very
worth
difficult.
Reading what he wrote. It's worth reading what he wrote after the Daily Stormer, and he mentioned what they did with 8chan as well. And he said, "I feel uncomfortable being in this position. I should not be in a position where I can do this, remove someone effectively from the internet." And yes, you can, as a number of people point out to me, you can run your own server on a Raspberry Pi in your mom's basement or whatever, and you will technically be on the internet. But it's qualitatively different to have something like AWS or Cloudflare remove you than it is for Twitter to remove you.
The Daily Stormer, we should mention, was a Nazi newspaper, a white supremacist.
I thought it was a weather thing.
And by the way, I think that's where Denise Howell's point comes in. I think Amazon, even if they weren't exposed by hosting Parler, because there was definitely illegal content on Parler. There's no question about that. And we've seen some of it. I mean, people saying you should hang
and Amazon's
the vice president
in the court there's some bad stuff there.
Yeah.
Sure.
So whether they were using it as a pretext for doing something they wanted, or their lawyers said, you really need to do this because you're exposed, is a minor difference. But
remember when they took down WikiLeaks as well, because they were effectively threatened by Congress,
right?
And which caused a huge storm at the time, right?
Yeah, is that good? I mean,
I was not too happy about that.
When it's someone we don't like.
So,
but
Is the best way to handle this case by case? Is it impossible to make a policy and say, well, this should
that's what they hate. They hate that because they want a rule they can plug into an algorithm or plug into a rule set that says, see, we did this. And so my argument to them is you're thinking at a statutory level. You should be thinking at a constitutional level on a level of principles. And then, yes, it's case by case, but you have something to call upon. All they have to call upon now at Facebook is the statute of the breast. Female breast with nipple not allowed unless baby or surgery or statue. Right. And they're at that level rather than
they want something algorithmic. Yeah. And it's not algorithmic.
No,
well,
it's
and
not.
I'd like
It's
to know
judgment, and
why.
they hate judgment.
Yeah.
Why did Twitter? Why was what Trump said at the rally, in which he didn't mention violence at all, why was that different compared to when he said, when the looting starts, the shooting starts?
The shoots. Yep.
Yeah, that was advocating violence pretty clearly.
Yeah.
It was,
but it's also timing. It's you look at the. I think one thing we forget about is when people, well, Twitter should be braver. Well, Donald Trump had a corrupt Department of Justice, jail, the IRS, a mob, all behind him, and it wasn't until the end of his reign that I think that they had the courage, frankly, to do this. And we can mock them for that. But hell, there were Republican members in Congress who wouldn't vote the other way because they were afraid for the physical safety of their families.
I think we should mock them a little bit because it's fine to, I think it was Alexandra Petrie or Petri Dishes on Twitter who wrote, I'm resigning from the Death Star because I can't put up with this anymore a week before it blows up.
Yeah, but it's a little easy for us to say, is all I'm saying.
It's super easy.
Mike Masnick had a great post last Friday on his blog Tech Dirt. Not easy, not unreasonable, but not censorship, the decision to ban Trump from Twitter. And in which he's basically saying it is ad hoc. It isn't, there aren't algorithms. And that at each point, the decision has to be made. To those who think that Twitter should have done this earlier, he writes, or that it would have made a difference, recognize that your concern is not so much with Twitter, but with Trump himself. Remember that while Trump might not be able to send a tweet right now, he still literally has the power to launch nuclear missiles at Twitter's headquarters. I don't think he does. I think he can only target enemy installations, but I might be wrong. Trump is obviously too toxic for Twitter, but he's also too toxic for the White House. The real complaint shouldn't be about Twitter or Facebook acting too late, but about Congress failing to do their job and removing the madman from power. And by the way, as we speak, Congress has voted to impeach.
Pelosi is speaking right now.
The second time.
Speaking of Twitter, there was a great thread from a guy who looked into what it would take for Trump to actually launch a nuclear missile. And you're right that technically he has to call a play from the playbook.
Yeah, he has a list of targets.
Bomb Mike Masnick's house.
Yeah, no. Which is still not reassuring. The good news is most of those targets are in the old Russia, old Soviet Union. So, and I know he doesn't want to do that because,
First he has to call the right phone number.
Allegedly.
And which is held by his aide. So if the aide doesn't give him the phone number.
There was a proposal once, and I think it was brilliant. It's horrific, but it was brilliant, that the phone number should be surgically placed in the aide's chest, and that the president should have a knife, break glass to use knife, and be compelled to kill the aide to use that phone number. But there's a good reason for this, so that the million deaths he will be causing, which in abstract are brought to concrete reality. You got to kill one person yourself before you're allowed to kill a million.
So I heard the aides voted that down.
They didn't want that one. No,
union bargaining. They were not.
It's too horrific to even mention. But it's it's an interesting thought experiment, because if you're not willing to kill the person standing in front of you, should you be allowed to kill the million people who are not?
That is the amplified version of count to 30 before you send that tweet.
Count to 30. That's another way to do it. Yeah. We live in such challenging times.
Jeff, I was going to ask you, whether you read something Emily Bell wrote for the Financial Times, where she said we need a more EU approach to speech.
Oh, of course she would.
Did you read that?
She's British.
This is where Emily. I love Emily, but we go back and forth all the time. Because Emily believes that there's no capitalism and journalism are fundamentally incompatible. We have to get rid of capitalism and journalism, and that government regulation and government creation is the solution to most everything. So you can guess Emily and I don't always agree.
I don't know. I mean, are we not putting
popcorn.
a lot of really an awful lot of power in these platforms' hands?
We are. Sure, we are.
And a couple of white guys, Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Dorsey.
Again, I have two words in response: Donald Trump. So for the last 4 years,
elected.
we were better off. We were better off in their hands
Jeff,
than in his hands.
He was duly elected by a democratic process. You may not like him. I may not like him, but
Zuckerberg was not elected.
Yeah. Trump won a presidential election. He later lost, but he won a presidential election.
And under the law of, I'm sorry, I'm going to go Godwin here. Under the law of Germany, Hitler was legally ensconced, right? But at some point you say someone is bad in office and wrong in office, and you need a check. And my point is that the public, including journalism, is a check on that power. And so there's checks on Zuckerberg.
For getting rid of Trump. There's a process for getting rid of Trump. There's no process for arguing with Mark Zuckerberg. There's no appeal. There's no helpline that will get you.
Why did he bother getting rid of Trump? Because of public pressure on him. There was a process, and it worked. Took a while, but it worked.
Was it up to the Krupp Iron Works?
Just having dinner and lunches with the White House just a handful of months ago. I don't know.
I repeat. Well, then I'll say bring Leo's words back. Then, Ant. He's the president of the United States. Why wouldn't you have dinner with the president of the United States?
If you're a good CEO, you have to. That's your job.
Yeah.
Your job is not to weigh in on,
you're a company.
You're a
right,
company.
which is where I agree with you.
But you don't have to hire somebody like Joel Kaplan, who basically convinces you not to do things to cater to conservatives.
So should the Krupp family, the big munitions family in Germany, should they have said to Adolf Hitler, "Look, you got elected, you're the chancellor, but we're going to deplatform."
Somebody should have, but they didn't.
Yeah, they didn't.
And so you need independent checks. This is why we have independent institutions. I know in these moments I sound like I'm libertarian and anti-government. I am not. I am pro-government and pro-safety net and pro lots of things. But I'm also pro-public counterweight.
Right. We're all in it together. All right.
So I have a friend of mine from South America right now who's emailed me just appalled at these images of American soldiers in full regalia sleeping in the Capitol. But you and I, where she comes from,
are relieved.
Right.
No, it's Eva Peron. But you and I are saying, "Oh, thank God," because they weren't there on Wednesday, and
she's saying, "WTF?"
Well,
there's one of those pictures.
Perspective is everything.
They're lying on the floor in a room, and there's a plaque. And someone, I'm not sure if this is true, but they said that plaque commemorates when U.S. soldiers billeted in the Capitol during the Civil War.
Huh.
Wow.
Well, Nancy Pelosi has her lectern back.
Yeah, but so that's I was wondering, did that guy just carry it completely out, or did he just carry it away?
They might have done a new one, but they said it's back.
Yeah. Okay.
He's been arrested as well.
Yeah. Oh, there. Yeah.
I can imagine trying to check that on United.
Has there been any follow-up on the tech that had been stolen?
Well, this is a
good question.
We do not know. This is a massive, as you know, cybersecurity issue because most of the staffers and members of Congress left their computers logged in. They ran out of there. I don't blame them.
Yeah. Nancy Pelosi's stolen. Laptop.
A laptop was stolen. Several laptops were stolen, but even more of greater concern is the computers that were logged in and on. And look, again, most of these guys
are idiots.
They weren't going to do that. But there were, I think, a handful of people in there who were absolutely bone-chillingly of malintent, and who knows who had a USB key and didn't take that opportunity to go around and put malware on there. So
malware.
It turns out every office has its own IT system. They're not all networked together. Yeah, I didn't realize this.
Nice.
There's not some central system. So in some ways, that's a good thing. It's both a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because they're not all tied together. It's a bad thing because the security practices vary.
Right.
And so, it's kind of a mess.
Login is admin, password is password.
It's kind of a mess. I don't know. If you were a Russian or Chinese operative in the United States, I think it would have behooved you to be in that crowd. That's a rare opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
So, was Fancy Bear there? If they weren't, they really missed a big opportunity. And there was plenty of warning. It wasn't like they didn't know. So
everybody knew except the Capitol Police.
Yeah, well, I think they knew too. And
but I'm going to get conspiracy here. I think some members of Congress have been since. One who got defeated in California last time around, and others have been in the pay of the Russians.
Daryl Issa.
Rohrbach.
Yeah. Rohrbach. Yeah, not Issa. Rohrbach. Yeah, Issa's not great either, but Rohrbach. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's easy to impute that.
Yeah. Who knows?
I don't know. These are all unknowns.
Will we ever find out the real Russian relationships? Will we ever get this? I don't know.
I have a theory.
What's that?
Remember, the president wanted to go to Scotland on Inauguration Day. I think his plan was to go to Scotland and from there to Moscow.
Yeah.
To be honest. I'm just wondering, do we have an extradition treaty with Russia? I'm asking for a friend.
Let me call Mr. Snowden and find out.
Yeah, no, he could. That would be a crazy ending. If I were writing a novel, that's how I'd end it.
Well, the other piece here is the financial piece is dire for him. Dire.
Well, I understand why he's perturbed. I'd be a little perturbed too. We shall see. He's not going to Scotland, by the way. They said, under no circumstances are you to come here, laddie. Stay home.
Do you ever get Scots who are pissed at you for this?
Every time
all the time. No, most of the time they go, your Scot accent is so awful that I have to
They all
laugh.
say that.
Yeah.
They all say that.
It's awful.
But I enjoy it.
Yeah, every time it gives me the giggles every single time.
So
are you guys sad you're not at CES?
Well, here's Lance Ulanoff's tweet that you were referring to earlier. He says this wraps up another CES for me. There he is on the airplane heading for home. CES 2021. Poor Lance. That's a long. Oh, wait a minute. He's at home, and that's on his screen, and he's not.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, I have to say, if you didn't go to CES this year, which you couldn't, obviously, it was all online. It was actually, I think, in some ways harder because many of the events started for those of us in California at 4:30 in the morning.
It stunk. It stunk, Mr. Laporte.
You could have. Did you go? Did you do some stuff?
I've been trying to get into some different events, and fortunately, you had the likes of Showstoppers and PepCom that made things easier.
What was it like? Did they have a fake lobby on the screen that you then?
Yes, it looked pretty cheesy. I'll be quite frank. It looked pretty cheesy. Hey, welcome to the virtual room, and then it takes you to a Zoom event. And the Zoom events were just like any other Zoom event we've seen for the last 10 months. And it was just, it's just not the same. That
seems more painful to me.
Yeah, it's just not the same. And then the fact that, you're having to do it virtually. So you get all of these invitations to keep up with. And as you mentioned, the time zone difference. So I'm freaking exhausted. And I hadn't even gone to Vegas.
Yeah. It's Teams, by the way. They use Microsoft's Teams, but we use lowercase z Zoom
Teams, that's
to describe what this is. we all know what it is. So when this all began a few months into it, I was thinking, the world's going to be different. We might be a little more chastened. Those trade shows may go away. World travel might go down. I am now of the opinion that when the dam breaks, probably in the third or fourth quarter of this year, it's going to break with a vengeance. The people have been not spending as much money. So at least those of us who have been able to continue to work will have some cash. They'll be desperate to travel, to party, to CES 2022. I'm going to make a prediction right here. Will be at first I thought, it's going to go away. Everybody's going to say, we don't need this anymore. I am now of the opinion it will be a bacchanal. It'll be insane. There'll be people swinging from the chandeliers. It'll be nuts because just like the Roaring 20s in the 1920s.
Right. Exactly.
People just can't wait.
Let me out of here.
Let me out of here.
You know, I was talking to Alex Lindsay yesterday because he's been on the message of these things just got to go away. There's no point in doing them anymore.
Well, he's in the business of producing the virtual ones, so I don't blame him. Of course.
And I had to give him a little grief on that because I said, look, that's fine for some, but for CES, I totally disagree because you look at everybody's not an Intel, everybody's not an LG. They don't have those same types of budgets, but those smaller, small to medium-sized companies, they depend on CES. They depend on people coming there and getting in front of them to show the products.
Yeah.
Being part of the press, I need to see some of those products because looking at it on one of these stupid virtual meetings is not the same. No. It's just, it was a pain. Yeah.
Did you?
Normally I'm tired this time of year, but I usually enjoy being tired this time of year because I really enjoy going out to CES and just working it.
I had so much fun with you last year, Ant. Mm-hmm. And I hadn't been to CES in almost a decade. It was,
and we worked.
It was a lot of work. I had a blast, and I will be back. I'll wear a mask next time, but I will be back. Have you seen anything at all that you thought was interesting?
The only thing that really got my interest was what TCL was doing. We talked about
rolling
TCL
displays
last year with all of their displays, and they do it at a cost-effective way. It's not crazy expensive. And then I want to say I saw OWC had a travel dock that I liked that's USB-C connected, and it's tiny, but it does everything a content creator would need as far as getting their ingest done and so forth. And you can stream with it, and it because it's got an Ethernet port on it, and stuff like that seemed okay.
Now TCL doesn't make these phones. LG, I think, has also said they're going to do this, but this is a TCL. It's hard to see this, but this display grows.
Oh yeah, that's their concept.
It's a rolling display, and then they had this one, which is like an Egyptian scroll. Tablet that rolls up and then unrolls like a scroll.
I like it.
You have to hold it open. How do you use it?
I know it's a concept.
That's why it's called a concept.
I don't like concept stuff.
Yeah, well, but some of it's real. LG's for years, at least two, at CES, LG showed a TV for people who didn't want to admit they watched TV that was like in a box, and then you press a button and it rolls up out of it and then rolls back. It's now available for $86,000.
Good Lord.
Seems reasonable.
Well, I mean, even the curved display was LG the first people to do that?
I think so, yeah.
Or Samsung. I had a Samsung curved display, I remember.
I remember being in the hall and seeing the LG big theatrical entrance and everything, and there's
wasn't that beautiful?
Massive
that waterfall
of curved displays. I remember seeing that for the first time at LG, and now that's common. You walk over there and it's still there.
But it's not there now, and that's one of the sad things. You can't judge a TV by a Teams call.
No.
Mm-hmm. So here's LG's. Here's LG's version. This is so weird. LG's doesn't expand in the vertical; it expands in the horizontal. So it's just a weird idea.
Yeah.
At least TCL gave you an actual real video of their concept in action.
Yeah.
LG did not.
Yeah.
Did I have that? It actually may still be in that same CNET article, sir.
Okay.
The TCL version.
Okay.
Tweet from Brad Mullen, I believe is his name.
I think I just showed it, didn't I? I just showed.
No, you saw the scroll. That was the tablet.
Yeah, but I also showed I showed the phone that goes up and down, but it goes up and down in the portrait mode, and LG's went up and down in the landscape mode. There's always the weird stuff like this. The smart lipstick from Yves Saint Laurent.
Well, this actually is interesting because you can change the color. It's like you can add different colors in based on your outfit.
It's called Perso. It houses 3 liquid lipstick cartridges. You can mix the colors of the 3 to any color you like using the included smart brush. How smart is the smart brush, Wheel?
It's just like your tricolor printer.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, you just get ink for it. You get ink for your lips.
For lipstick. Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Razer had a smart mask. Go ahead.
I was just going. I don't know whether to mention this or not, but did they raise the or mention the male chastity device that someone hacked into?
No, but we had a lot of fun on Security Now yesterday.
I'll bet.
Talking about it. Apparently, this device, which is a male chastity device, it's a chastity belt basically, but it's controlled by a smartphone. But apparently, it's hackable.
Oh joy!
So you can get you can get locked in, which doesn't seem...
That's customer lock-in right there.
Yeah, that's right.
It's the Harvey Weinstein hack. Yeah,
it would be a shame if you should not be able to.
Somebody had this is what's great about Twitter. Somebody had an image of Bill Gates from like 1980 something saying, in the future, you'll be able to do almost anything with your computer. And then right next to it, they had this story. But
they talked to one victim who asked to be, this is from, I think, the AP, who asked to be identified only as Robert. He said he received a message from a hacker demanding payment of 0.02 Bitcoin, $750 to unlock the chastity cage. Robert, fortunately, was not wearing it when it happened.
Wow.
But he couldn't gain access to it. Some kid in Ukraine, apparently. Wow is right. I think that's a pretty enterprise.
It's always Ukraine or
it's always
Bulgaria.
Ukraine, yeah.
You mentioned that smart mask from Razer, and I found that interesting because it seems like I'm reading and hearing some of these public places when you walk up with the mask on, they don't want you to have those little aspirators.
You can't. And it shouldn't, because that's not protecting.
That lets all the bad things out.
I wear it's called a respirator because when you work with sawdust, you might wear an N95 respirator. They have a valve. This has a valve. So when you're breathing in, you're protected, but when you're breathing out, you're spraying your COVID. So I wear a mask over the mask so that I'm protecting you, but I'm definitely protecting me. Here, by the way, I actually found it on Amazon, is the Cellmate, the app-controlled chastity device.
Cellmate. That's right.
It comes in different sizes. This is long and black. There's a lot of them. Wait a minute. Customers who bought this item also bought the RZY silicone cage. There's a lot of them. This is a vast market. Who knew this?
Stacy's not here.
Also, the 18-inch riding crop.
Don't linger on that page while it's up on the.
Yeah, thank you. Your cookies are already a mess.
Oh, I'm going to get some interesting recommendations. Yeah, I might have to delete my Amazon account right now. Who knew this was such a big market? I had no idea.
You can bookmark that for later.
I am, yeah. Maybe I'll just order it right now. Ships within 3 to 4 days. $186. Chastity does not come cheap.
Clearly. Lisa, what's it worth to
you? Anything else you saw that interested you, Ant?
No, that was about it. But when we're talking about TCL, I'm assuming that you'll be able to talk to Mr. Scott Wilkinson this weekend.
I will. He's going to do a whole, because of course he's our home theater guy on the radio show, and he will.
I would love to hear his perspective from seeing this stuff virtually, and what did he get out of it? Because when we hung out with him last year, it was just a wealth of information, and I learned a lot more just because he was there and he was able to point things out. And again, it's being there, versus this virtual stuff that we're doing.
I think with TVs, you have to see them. Just there's no point even. If you don't see them, you don't see them. I mean, it's crazy.
If we don't do CES,
next year
in person.
Let's do it
next year.
Let's make a plan right now.
Well, no, I'm saying if CES happens to just go to this full virtual version of it going forward, would it be better off if they were to spread it out and not try to squeeze it all into 1 week?
Well, you know what's interesting? So Samsung's having an event tomorrow morning. We're going to cover it, stream it live, 7 a.m. It's not a CES event, but it's the same week as CES. There's something, normally they'd wait to IFA or Mobile World Congress. I guess that's the next one, Mobile World Congress. But there's something about, you would think they would want to do it away from it so that there isn't all this other chatter.
But they know people are interested.
I think that's it. People are aware.
Did you ever go to a LobbyCon?
No, I've heard many things about it. It was in Hawaii, right?
Well, there were some in different places, and the idea was just that you would hang out in the lobby and not actually go to any of the
best part of the conference is the lobby.
Yeah.
Interesting. Never heard of that.
Yeah. So we're going to be Jason Howell and Florence Ion will be covering the Samsung Unpacked event. It'll be the announcement on the Galaxy S21 phone, much of which has been leaked already. 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, Thursday.
I'm not getting up early tomorrow, Miss Laporte.
Jason has to.
I'm tempted. I might want to buy one of these things. I don't know why.
I'm not getting up early. I've gotten up early all week so far, and those virtual conferences have worn me out.
Skip them. Skip them. But you don't have to get up early because not only will we stream it live, we will make a show out of it, and you can download it later in the day. So you will have everything.
The magic of podcasting.
It's amazing.
Google did a thing with News Guys. Sorry, I was just going to mention that I think it was News Guys. They had different sessions at different times, catering to people in different time zones.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
They did 24 hours straight in different time zones. They also used a great platform. Have you heard of wonder.me?
Mm-mm.
It's really nice. It's the first, because it's the effort to replicate the lobby, right?
Oh, you look like you're all sitting at round tables.
Right, so you can move around. You move yourself around, and when you get next to somebody, then the video pops up.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
It's very nice. Yeah. It's very nice indeed. I liked it a lot. We used it for our graduation, for the reception afterwards.
Good idea.
Oh, so cool.
It's really nice.
Someone needs to have an interface that's basically just like Habbo Hotel, like an 8-bit, scroller game, and that's your lobby, and you get a little 8-bit character and you wander around from virtual room.
I think we could do this.
That was called Nintendo Wii.
I would like to use WonderMe for our chat room.
I think it's really very good.
Yeah,
it's excellent. Because you can make a table with a label.
Yeah.
You can just wander around. You see somebody you see. When you sidle up next to them, then the video pops up and you can talk. Now you can also make a private room. So nobody can come in. You can talk about Leo. Matthew, you and Ant and I can go talk about Leo, and he can't get in.
Great.
It's really very nice.
Oh, we can talk.
It's like high school, basically.
It's like high school.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't sit at my table.
The cool kids table, right?
Cool kids
the mean
table.
girls.
That's really interesting. Guests can see who's speaking to whom. They move their avatars around with their mouse.
Google Newsgeist.
Huh. Very cool.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to do the changelog in just a second. Ant Pruitt, Matthew Ingram, Jeff Jarvis. For those just tuning in, Stacy's not with us because a tree fell on a power line near her house.
She's fine.
House. She's fine.
She's fine.
House is fine. Power is
Didn't
out.
fall on Stacy.
Power is out.
But her ears are burning.
Now it's time for the Google changelog.
The Google changelog.
I should have probably looked to see if there is anything before I.
Oh yeah,
it's been a little scant of late. Android Auto moves closer to wallpaper support with a collection of car-themed backgrounds. That's what I've been missing with Android Auto.
That's innovation right there.
I need some wallpaper. Google's rolling out guest mode to the Nest hubs and assistants. A guest mode? What? When it's enabled, Google Assistant interactions are not saved to your account. Audio recordings for voice commands will be deleted automatically.
So it's incognito.
It's kind of more like an incognito. You can still ask questions, control home devices, set timers. Broadcast still works. Family bell still functions. Household contact speed dial still works. If you've got photo frames set in the background, as I do, it'll still cycle.
You need a guest mode for Amazon now, so you can look at that page and it won't track you.
I do for any time I'm looking at chastity belts. You bet.
So you could ask your assistant, "How do I bury a body?" and then it wouldn't say that.
Exactly, it wouldn't remember that.
That's
yeah.
handy. Okay.
Personal results like calendar, like calendar events and contacts are automatically disabled. So what you do is you say, "Hey, Guillermo, turn on." I bet you that triggers it anyway. Hey, Guillermo, turn on.
Hey, Guillermo.
No. Okay. Turn on. That's good. We found finally something I could say. Hey, Guillermo.
Hey, Goober.
Hey, Goober. Does that work?
Hey, Goober.
Yeah.
Hey, Goober.
Goober works. Okay. Don't say Goober.
Okay.
Hey, Guillermo, turn on guest mode, and you'll get a special chime, and then a blank profile icon will appear throughout the interface. You can ask it at any time, "Hey, Guillermo, is guest mode on?" And it will say so. And then, of course, when you're done, you can say, "Hey, Guillermo, turn off guest mode." It's kind of an interesting.
Try. Is it all out now? I'll try it now.
Try it. See what happens. Don't say Guillermo, though.
I'm in guest mode, and any assistant activity will be deleted from the device owner's account.
It really is.
More, you can always say, "Tell me about guest mode."
It really is incognito mode. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Nice.
Google had an issue. I don't know if you noticed this on their COVID-19 API.
Google,
What are you saying? You asked it how to bury a body?
Google. And it's answering. My assistant is answering.
Oh, you're in deep trouble now. The Mounties are going to be knocking at your door any minute now.
Something about a bathtub filled with acid or something. I don't know.
Google is fixing that.
You're scaring me, Matthew. You're scaring me.
Has anybody seen his wife lately? It caused endless loading notifications. It's fixed. Google Meet adds a troubleshooting menu. We're not going to fix the problems, but there is now a troubleshooting menu.
Super helpful
for real-time network and system performance stats. So,
OBS Ninja could have used it today.
Yeah,
troubleshooting menus solve everything.
We were on OBS Ninja for everybody but Matthew, and then we had
now we're all Skype.
We're all Skype. That's disappointing to me. I was really hoping that we would have an alternative to Skype. I don't know what's going on.
But God bless John, because he is quick on the trigger.
John, our studio manager and
as seamlessly as could be.
Technical director is good.
But now everybody knows because you mentioned it.
Shh. Ixnay on the Ipske. YouTube videos. You'll have to explain this one to me. That use hashtags now have their own dedicated sections. Hashtag I'm confused. Hashtag what does that mean?
Hashtag I don't really care.
You put I haven't read
it's just channels, I guess.
Changelog, but if you put hashtags in your titling on your YouTube video, if you put a hashtag at the end of your title, it doesn't show in the title display,
right?
But it does give it a hashtag like a subheading.
And then you can search for specific hashtags.
Right.
Interesting.
Oh, we'll have to start using that so that we can, people could search for specific things.
Mm-hmm. So put in Justin Bieber hashtag.
Hashtag moral panic.
Gotta do some SEO.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Google Maps 2020 timeline update recaps your travel trends. Since I'm not going nowhere.
Yeah, last year that would show me in my house.
Because everybody's a big circle.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Liquor store, grocery store.
It's an interesting time to add a trends section, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that's what they've done. They'll be ready for next year. And that is the Google changelog. I should really save this for when Stacy's here, but the June oven, that smart oven, the Android-based smart oven that she talked me into buying, just got bought itself by Weber, the grill company.
Oh.
I wonder.
I want a smart grill.
Smart grill. That's kind of intriguing. June will continue to develop new ovens and accessories, but it'll just be, I imagine this was one of those things where it was tough to succeed, and it's great to have a bigger partner who will give you some cash and let you do more. June's founder and CEO Matt Van Horn will continue to lead the June business unit. June's other founder, Nikhil Bogar, will join Weber as leader of its technology and connected devices division, lending some credence to what you guys were just saying. We don't know how much they paid, but I know I paid $1,500 for my June oven. So,
which now costs what, Leo?
Now it's like down a couple $300. I don't know. They got it's much less expensive now. I bought early adopter. It doesn't pay. Just doesn't pay. Big jump for Signal after people started to worry about the privacy policies of WhatsApp, which is owned by Facebook. WhatsApp said, we don't see your messages, but we do reserve the right to record your metadata, who you're talking to, what the subjects are, things like that, and share it with Facebook. And Signal, the completely encrypted solution that doesn't share your metadata, doesn't even see your metadata, suddenly taking off like crazy, which is great.
Telegram too, I think.
Telegram has taken off, absolutely. Although, as you pointed out, it can also be a haven, as can Signal, I guess. Anything encrypted can be a haven for bad actors.
Yep.
And I was going to say, I didn't mention this when we were talking about it, but before sort of all the Trump-related stuff and the Capitol riots and everything, Facebook started making a significant move towards more private messaging, private groups, private.
Yeah.
And I know when I was talking to security types and disinformation types, they were very concerned about it being harder to find and track information, partly because a lot of it's going to be encrypted and private.
Which is good. Craig Newmark funded a commission on information disorder. Who's the head? The former head of CISA, Chris Krebs, the guy who was fired for saying the election was fair and secure, the most secure election we've ever had.
This is the Aspen Institute.
Oh, it's the Aspen Institute. Okay.
Yeah.
So Krebs has also formed a new company with Alex Stamos, the KS Group. Stamos, the former security guy at
he's smart.
Facebook and before that Yahoo. He left in both cases because he didn't like what was going on. Did I say Stamos? That's not his name, is it? That's Stamos.
Yeah, Stamos.
Is it
Stamos?
It's not the guy.
Yeah, I got it wrong. You're right.
Not John Stamos.
Not John Stamos.
No, I thought it was Stamos.
Okay, it is. Okay, now
it is Stamos. Yeah.
It's Alex.
No, I think he pronounces it a little bit differently.
Stamos, Alex Stamos.
Oh, okay.
Chris Krebs, Alex Stamos.
He pronounces it Jones.
Jones.
Yeah.
Spelled Stamos.
Yeah, security is really taking. I mean, this is job one now after the SolarWinds attack. In fact, SolarWinds has announced that Chris Krebs will also be consulting them to help button down their security. Of course,
they should hire everybody like from high school up.
It's like Zoom did, right? Zoom went out and said, "Okay, we need a bunch of people, a bunch of them."
The thing that Zoom did right was they listened to them,
right?
And the problem with SolarWinds is it's closing the barn door after the horse is gone. You could fix it now; it doesn't really matter.
The horse is over the horizon.
The horse is long gone.
Yeah, I posted something about Trump where I said Horses Incorporated is concerned about the recent incident and has altered its store closure mechanism.
I love it. See, there's another reason to follow you on Twitter. I don't, I guess we should talk about this GitHub. Although, as I always do when we talk about employment issues, you never know the real story because law protects employees and privacy and so forth. But GitHub apparently fired one of their employees who is Jewish and who had family members who died in the Holocaust for posting in a message on its internal Slack channel last Wednesday saying, "Stay safe, homies, Nazis are about." He was concerned about coworkers, he says, who lived in Washington, D.C., did not intend it in any way to be. It's just, I guess it's the new N-word. I don't know. 200 GitHub employees have signed a letter asking executives why he was fired, but also to take a stronger stance against anti-Semitism and white supremacy. So there's kind of a mixed message there. We don't know what happened. He said he doesn't want anybody to know who he is because he's afraid of being trolled, obviously. He said, "I did not know that as a Jew it would be so polarizing to say this word. We grew up saying Nazi. It was a story we told because we had to. The decimation of whole lines of ancestry were at the hands of people who went by that title." Is it possible people are worried about offending Nazis now? No, that can't be it.
I just saw an academic fight going on. Timothy Snyder and somebody else from, I forget which university, are these fascists or not? And that's an academic fight going on a different level.
It's not. They're not fascists unless they come from the fasciste region of France.
Yes, it's a protected domain. Of course, everybody knows that. Quibi, which raised $1.75 billion, of which, of course, it closed its doors, has saved a little bit of that investment. They sold their entire library of videos, both current and future, to Roku for less than $100 million. They did not sell, however, their rotating screen technology. But
that's got to be one of the biggest bonfires of value since AOL Time Warner.
From $1.75 billion to less than $100 million. Do you ever, New York, I loved the Hudson newsstands. They were everywhere.
Mm-hmm. They're still everywhere, but just not as crowded.
Yeah. Well, don't worry, because they're trying out a new concept using Amazon's Just Walk Out technology, where you just, I guess this is at the airports. The airport Hudson newsstands.
Okay. That's the idea.
Yeah. You just, I see these anyway, and I wonder, why don't people steal more stuff from them? They're unattended, or the attendant is way down the hall or something, and you're supposed to...
Well, at Newark Airport now, you're supposed to check yourself out.
Okay, see? There's an honor system. Yeah.
Yeah, well, kind of, yeah.
So, Love Field in Dallas will be the first for the Just Walk Out technology. We're always looking for new ways to expand seamless and safe travel. I guess if you don't have to talk to or touch a cashier, that's probably a good thing. Prime
antisocial can you get, Leo? Jeez.
I don't like people.
Especially in an airport.
I don't like. I'm going to wear my Razer Smart Mask from now on. I think this would be a good time to wrap this thing up. He's singing sea shanties again.
Oh, look at what time it is.
Leave and go.
Are you a singer, Jeff?
I was in the church choir.
You were in the choir. And
I was at Claremont. At Claremont, I was in the college choir.
Oh, that's neat. And you're a bass?
Yeah.
Yeah. What
got a problem with that,
buddy? Cool. Nice. We are going to get our picks of the week up next. Let's kick the picks of the week off with our guest, Matthew Ingram, who has a new favorite word.
Yeah, this is, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it correctly. It's umarell.
Umarell.
So, yeah, it's Italian. Well, it's kind of Italian. It's Bolognese, and it's from a word that means men of retirement age who pass the time watching construction sites, especially roadworks, offering unwanted advice.
God bless Italy. God bless Italy.
I just love that that's a word.
You're a numarell.
And if you read the thread, a bunch of people point out that it's very important that you clasp your hands behind your back, that you wear a hat, maybe beret-ish type hat. If you have a small yapping dog, this is extra authentic. And
you can buy apparently a Umarell figurine to watch you work.
Yeah.
Yapping dog not included.
You have to supply the critical comments.
That is hysterical.
This would be a perfect spinoff of those progressive commercials, where they're trying to teach people how to not be their parents. Have you seen those commercials?
I love those commercials. I cannot get enough of those commercials.
Dr. Rick.
They are the greatest. There's 3 now, I think. They're the best.
They've added some. You don't know him.
We see it.
We see it.
I'm sorry. Umarell, it's 18 euros. It's not a cheap Umarell. Umarell è un anziano digitale che osserva cantieri digitali. I vostri computer. Oh, that's nice.
And now say Cacio e Pepe.
Cacio e Pepe. No. Jeff will take off.
Yeah.
Why don't you? Now we better get him to do his number of the week real quick.
All right. I was debating between 2 of them. So the Edelman Trust Barometer is out. And
this is shocking.
Usually happens at Davos, but at the Undavos, Reuters Next today, Richard Edelman revealed it. And if you go to slide 9, you start to see the beginnings of the real numbers. Among the mass population, they trust no institutions.
Yeah.
Among the so-called elite or informed population, they trust 3 out of 5, which is to say NGOs, business, and media, but not government. I don't know what the 5th is. Majority of people are pessimistic in 15 out of 28 markets, including the U.S. The majority of people in 21 out of 28 markets fear being left behind.
Yeah.
56% believe that capitalism as it exists today does more harm than good in the world.
Wow. Now, is this global or U.S.?
This is global. This is global.
Yeah, because in the U.S., I'm sure that number is much lower.
I worry about losing my job due to one or more of these causes, 83%. A lot of what happened last week at the Capitol was not economic, it was racial. But there also is economic fear. Fear because of freelancer gig economy, 61%. Looming recession, 60%. Lack of training and skills, major societal obligation, 58%. Cheaper foreign competitors, a little moral panic there, 55%. Immigrants who work for less, a lot of moral panic there, 54%. Automation, 53%. Jobs moving to other countries. So anyway, that's a quick one. But the other one that I saw that I found interesting was that people returned $428 billion of merchandise.
Oh, I thought this was really interesting. I know what you're talking about.
It is.
Yeah.
And then so what's happening is that Amazon, Walmart, and company use AI to judge whether it's worthwhile to get the return or not in terms of how they can resell it and shipping. So a lot of times they just tell people, keep it, give it away to a charity, whatever.
Because it's so expensive to pay for the return.
Yeah,
that's smart.
But they do, and the AI is used for a number of things, but a lot of it is your past buying record. So don't get excited that, oh, good, I never have to buy anything again. I used to know a young woman who would buy shoes, tape the soles, wear them to the event, remove the tape, because you can't return used shoes, remove the tape so there was no evidence, and return them.
She never slip and fall on her rear end because the tape's slippery?
I know. Well, I probably used good tape. She learned over time. But she never bought shoes. She didn't have to. I don't think this would be an excuse to do that.
No.
For every $1 billion in sales, $106 million is lost to returns.
Of course, there's huge companies that do nothing but take back the returns,
right?
Get them in some saleable form, and that's where you get a lot of these places to buy stuff.
Right.
Liquidators.
Yep.
Liquidators. Thank you.
Yep.
Well, liquidators also take over bankrupt places. Yeah.
Right. I did a story about a chain of liquidators, and it was fascinating. They would take literally anything, truckloads. He said, well, it depends on the day. One day it'll be a truckload of paint. Then we'll get 5 truckloads of baby shoes or like.
Do you remember Jeff Repo Depot?
Yeah.
I actually knew the founder of Repo Depot.
Nice. Good name.
Yeah, isn't it a good name? It's still around, yeah.
This one was Liquidation World.
What was the airline one? The unclaimed luggage, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Unclaimed freight.
Yeah. Aunt Pruitt, you have a few things for us.
Yeah, and they're all fairly quick. I'm not sure why my video has me set to noir mode.
I like it.
Is it the 40s?
This is good. This is good. Yeah, you have a mystery for us. I can tell.
That's okay. I look good either way. The first one is a YouTube video. It's only about 50 seconds or so, but it's every big, I'm going to put in air quotes, big YouTuber of 2021 when they put their first video up.
Let's watch their first video of the year. He's walking into his kitchen. He's opening the curtains into his YouTube studio. He's getting his seamless out, rolling it out onto the floor. He's got the microphone, the lights, he's setting it up, the nice big softbox. Oh, this guy's well equipped. This guy's got everything, man. He's getting his camera set up on the tripod. He's got
not just any camera.
Nice Canon, right?
Wow.
Nice Canon. One of those cinema. Yeah. He's got a Sennheiser mic. He's got he's got everything. He's recording his audio on Zoom. He's got the lights on. He's ready.
He's going to sing a shanty song, yeah?
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about why gear doesn't matter.
By the way, this is a meme I really like, which is that they do this and then they play the closing credits for Curb Your Enthusiasm. Yeah, I love that. I don't know what it means, but I'm glad. I just think it's very funny when I see it. All right, there's one. Video.
That was one. My next one is Tourbots. I talked about Tourbots back on Hands on Tech. I believe it was last year. Yeah, last year, Hands on Tech episode 92. Well, during CES, they have updated their product, and I enjoyed their product. It's only about $170, but it's basically giving you all of your tools in one hand for the likes of.
It's a busy box
Photoshop.
For creators.
It's so slick, and then they have a nice development community behind them to where you don't necessarily have to just use it for Photoshop and Lightroom. You can use it with Capture One. You can use it with Premiere. You can use it with DaVinci Resolve. You can use it with a lot of different apps because they've opened it up to where people can develop presets for it, and it's pretty slick. I liked it last year.
Nice, $169.
Yep.
Tourboxtech.com.
And the next one is something that you may like. This just came out today. Sony announced their new 35mm G Master. I saw that and I thought of you immediately. Look at the price of that.
Yeah.
That price is great compared to some of the other mirrorless.
Just so people understand how gear-addled camera folks are. That great price is $1,398. But it is a prime lens, a 35mm f1.4, and their Gold Master lenses are quite nice. They're really nice. Yeah. You pay for that aperture. That's why. That's a great lens. Yeah.
And I thought about you. I was like, this has his name all over it.
That's my street photography lens. I use their 24. It's a 1.4, I think. Really great lens on my Sony Alpha. But yeah. Keep me away. I can't afford it. Keep me away from it. Keep me away. All right.
I won't tempt you.
Keep me away.
And lastly, I just want to say, hey, go check out Floss Weekly. I've been TDing that show for the last couple of weeks, and it's been a lot of fun.
It's a great show, isn't it? And Doc
hanging
Searles
out with Mr. Doc Searles and different co-hosts that rotate in. But the guests have been outstanding. Today we had at recording open sheet music display, and it's another open source project, and they talked about music and education and gamifying learning music.
Yeah.
It was really, really good.
Allison Randall last week.
Allison Randall.
She's amazing. Yeah.
Man. So check out
It's really
Floss
been good, the Floss ecosystem. If you're interested in free Libre or open source software, that's what Floss means. It is a show that we do because we believe in Floss software. So it's really great that we can put that show on the air every week. I really appreciate it. And thank you for TDing it. You have to come in early for that one. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I love it. And the conversations we have pre-show and post-show is Mr. Searles is an interesting cat.
Oh, he is. I've known
Great
Doc
guy, yeah.
for years. Read his book from 2000 called The Clue Train Manifesto, and you will get a sense of what a genius he is. Really, really interesting guy. And, of course, Dan Lynch is great. The whole team. They really got a great team on there. Jonathan Schwartz, can't forget him.
How did you like working the TriCaster, man?
Oh, yeah, you had the new TriCaster. How'd you like it?
Yeah, I'm still trying to get my muscle memory right, but it's still so much nicer from a software standpoint from our old version. Yeah. Shout out to New Tech on that.
Yeah, thank you, New Tech. And thank you all for letting us do this show every week. We really appreciate it. Matthew Ingram, thanks for stepping in. It's always a pleasure to hear from you. Matthew is Chief Digital Writer at the Columbia Journalism Review, CJR.org. And he joins us whenever we can get a chance, because I love having him on.
Whenever a tree falls on
one of our hosts. Count on Matthew Ingram. Thank you, Matthew. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Jeff Jarvis, Mr. Moral Panic. He is, all right, here we go. The director of the Town Knight Center for Entrepreneurial Journalism at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. Buzzmachine.com is where he blogs, on medium.com.
Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea.
And he loves a good sea shanty.
When the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go.
I love me a good sea shanty.
Arr.
Arr.
Why do I have the urge to drink rum now?
Well, I always have the urge to drink rum. Go ahead and do it. Do it.
You know,
I don't know if
a
rum
good
fits this
antivirus
film
program.
noir. I should probably have like a martini now.
Aunt Pruitt is in black and white at twit.tv/hands-on photography.
But looking good, as always.
I think the monochrome suits you. I think it's pretty good.
It works.
Yeah.
I think it works.
Yeah.
Remember, for antivirus, use Avast.
Avast, mateys. Don't use Avast. It's dangerous. It's a pirate program. We do this show every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2200 UTC. I only mention those times because if you want to watch us do it, you can. We have a live video feed and audio feed, too, for that matter, of our behind the scenes at twit.tv/live. If you're watching live, chat live at irc.twit.tv. But of course, it's a podcast network. You don't have to listen at our time. You can listen anytime you want just by going to twit.tv/twig and downloading an episode. There's also a YouTube channel. And of course, the easiest way to do it is subscribe in your favorite podcast application. And that way you'll get it automatically the minute it's available. For those who watch asynchronously, there's a couple of ways you can interact with us. Twit.community is our forum, www.twit.community, a great place. Each show is posted there. You can leave your comments after the fact, join the discussion. Ant and I are frequenters. Some of our other hosts go in there too on a regular basis. www.twit.community. And we've I've kind of getting off Twitter, pushed up my usage of our Mastodon instance. Mastodon is an excellent open source federated Twitter style social network. There are servers all over the world. We have our own at twit.social. If you're not yet on GNU Social or Mastodon or any one of those open source federated systems, you're more than welcome to join at twit.social. We do ask that you give us we're trying to slow down spammers. It was really overrun by spam. I hadn't been paying attention. It's my fault. So we do have to approve your membership, but I approve it pretty quickly. And we ask you to say, yeah, I heard you say it on Twig or something like that, just to make sure it's not a spammer. And we'll get you in there. We appreciate your patronage. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week on This Week in Google. Bye-bye.